Hello, everybody out there in the virtual universe. I am Ora Nadrich, and you are joining me today on Facebook Live, Mindfulness Monday. I am so excited to connect with you. June 1st. June 1st, okay? Not that I have been keeping a linear calendar, because I have not, but being that it's the first day of a new month, I'm good with that. And the days have been just sort of seamlessly moving into one after the next. So again, here we are together. And I am so excited to share a very special person with you today, who is my very special guest, Dr. Lorin Roche. He is a very special human being, and you will find that out for yourself. I am just going to be inviting him into the conversation this morning and have you come in and join us too. So for those of you that don't know Lorin and you have been missing something and someone very special that you will now know, let me tell you a little bit about Lorin. Lorin has been practicing meditation since 1968. He holds a doctorate from the University of California for his work on the subjective experience of meditation. He is the author of 6 books, including the exquisite The Radiance Sutras, 112 Gateways to the Yoga of Wonder and Delight, and Meditation Made Easy. He co-authored Meditation Secrets for Women and Meditation 24/7 with his lovely wife, Camille Marine, who I'm really looking forward to having as my guest next week. Lorin is the founder of Instinctive Meditation, a system based on his research and teaching approach designed to match a person's individual nature to their meditation practice. He teaches at Esalen, 1440, Loyola Marymount University, and Sand Science and Non-Duality. Lorin grew up on the beaches of Southern California, Malibu, Ventura, and San Onofre, body surfing, diving, and sailing. In 1968, while a freshman at the University of California, he signed up to be a part of a research project on the psychology of meditation. And it was there he first heard the luminous and startling teaching of the Vajnana Bhairava, I hope I'm saying that right, Tantra, a classic yoga text describing 112 practices. It was love at first listening. It was clear from the research that meditation is a spontaneous and natural human experience, and that there are many doorways to meditation. Each individual may be called to one or more of these 100+ practices. Lorin was trained as a meditation teacher in 1969, 1970, and began giving instruction in meditation on college campuses, in businesses, hospitals, military bases, private homes, churches, and even high school campuses. For the last 45 years, Lorin's passion has been to help people find the meditation techniques that truly suit their inner nature and coach them to thrive in their practice year after year. Welcome, Lorin, to Mindfulness Monday. I'm so happy to have you with us here today.
Thank you. Now, I'm just a lucky person who said yes when these incredible teachings were sort of handed to me on a silver platter when I was a teenager in 1968. It's really like I was too stupid or broken to do other things, like go start a boutique or go go riot or something. I was handed these exquisite Tantra yoga teachings, and it's like handing seeds to a farmer. I didn't quite realize until later that this farmer aspect of me, where I just, if a farmer or a gardener, if you give them a cutting of a bush or a flower or an aloe vera plant or give them a seed, they'll like plant it and then study how do you get it to grow, and then they'll get seeds and soon they'll have a whole acre. So I just somehow being exposed to these exquisite Tantra yoga teachings, it was, and it doesn't matter how you pronounce Sanskrit, Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, just say it in your own way. Sanskrit's a friendly, unbreakable language. And if you feel into it, you'll come around and feel the resonance. Anyway, this text, the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, is this classic, relatively unknown teaching of 112 different pathways into meditation just through everyday life experience. So I was initiated into this, and I just loved it so much, the beauty of the teaching, that I've just continued sort of like a farmer, just planting seeds and watering them and studying how does that grow, and letting the plant teach me how to nurture it. And then if anybody comes by and says, hey, I like that, whatever that is, that vegetable, that fruit, that flower, how do you do it? Say, well, here's some seeds too. And it is like with seeds and farming, there's no limit to the wealth that the earth will create. If you just, because farming, you're working with nature.
Right.
The sun shines, the rain falls, the earth is full of riches. And seeds are these ways of cooperating with the genius of life.
Beautiful.
To create food. And meditation is like that. It's a way of cooperating with what cells are and what bodies are. And it really feels like meditation is intrinsic to a body, any body, that nature has built into our bodies and the bodies of animals, the ability to commune with the whole ecology. The meditation is the ability to be like a little creature, like a human or a hummingbird or a ferret or a dog or a cat, and find a repose, a healing repose in yourself, and rectify, integrate your relationship with the world that's giving you life. So you become in harmony with yourself and your own impulses, and then you become in harmony with the world around you. And it's built in to a body. I mean, animals they don't need to like go to school and learn how to meditate. But they're instinctive.
Right.
Like somehow, like I live in an area where there's a lot of birds. There's seabird, there's big herons, and there's things that are like ducks called cormorants that dive. So birds, so think of it, they come out of a hatch, then they figure out how to fly. They don't have to be taught how to fly. They instinctively learn how to fly. And then they figure out how to hunt, go fishing, and then build a nest, and then mate, and then have babies and nurture the babies. They know all this stuff innately. As human beings, we're different. We have the instincts, but they're quieter. We have this huge capacity mentally. So we need to cultivate the ability to meditate.
Right. Let me ask you something, Lorin, about nature, and not only the nature of our nature and the nature, from a Taoist sense, to be connected to our true nature and then be in harmony with the nature that is around us. Do you think that People have asked me, how did you get into mindfulness? And I said, well, my first recollection of mindfulness was being a little girl lying in an open field, looking up at the clouds, watching them move across the sky. Nobody told me I was practicing mindfulness. You as a surfer, when I think of surfing, and obviously, water for me is very resonant, and the whole present moment awareness of being in a wave, surfing the wave. Do you know that was the beginnings of your connection, I think, to nature? Do you think that the path towards meditation really was a natural love affair, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. And we all have our favorite ways. Like surfers, surfing, if you really were to accurately label it, it would be like paddling and waiting. Paddling and waiting 90% of the time. And then you get this great 10-second, 30-second ride. And then you paddle out and you wait some more. But there are certain days when you're just paddling and surfing, but it's paddling and waiting. And so you're sitting out there on the horizon looking, and you're reading teeny little ripples on the horizon and sensing, because that the wave first shows up often as a little ripple on the horizon, and then you position yourself, and you're out there communing with the whole ocean, with the sky. And we all have doorways. Like for some people, it's cooking.
Right.
I mean, there are people that cooking for them is magic, and they have magic powers, and they love.
Absolutely. I know. I'd love to see what people's meditations are, or what their yoga is. Do you know?
And there's gardening. I know people that, and you'll see them in any city or where there's little gardens. There'll be people, you'll be walking along thinking, I am such a spiritually superior person. I practiced meditation or mindfulness for an hour this morning. I read this book. I really know what's going on. And they'll be walking along the street, and there'll be some like old person wearing knee pads on his knees, on her knees, or his knees, in a little teeny patch of garden in front of their apartment, tending to flowers. And if you're awake, you realize that that person is really meditating with no pretension. They're just there for their need, loving that flower. And there's people that know how to hold babies. I mean, if you're really seeing what's happening in the world, there's kindergarten teachers who can stand there, no matter how exhausted and frazzled their nerves are, and they'll perceive each little 5-year-old running around, perceive their stage of development, what's buzzing in their da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, calibrate a quick response to just where they're at or the right story, and then move on to the next thing. And there's fighter pilots, and there's doctors, and so and there's dancers. So people have their own intrinsic meditation practices that often they're a master of, and they don't call it meditation.
Right. Yes.
But if you do want to get into meditation, you build with what you love so much.
I was just going to say that. What you love, connect to what you love. Do you know?
What you love so much that you want to merge with it, melt into it, drink it, be filled with it, dance with it, just commune with it. And all instincts. If you look at the world's meditation techniques, they're actually all of the instincts. There's feeding, there's meditations for food, there's love making, there's meditations for making love with sublime, cultivating God consciousness in the midst of sex. There's dancing meditations. There's listening to music that annihilates you. Listen to music that you love so much you want to melt into it. There's hunting meditations. There's eyes open, like you're describing, eyes open wide to the universe, wide to the sky, or wide to the horizon. That's a profound and very neglected meditation. People think meditation is eyes closed. For a lot of people, you should never say, close your eyes, ever. It'll ruin their game.
I love this. I love this.
They'll obey you and think that they're wrong.
It's beautiful.
For a lot of people, it's infinitely precious to behold the world when they go into meditation.
And I remember doing that, I think I was 5, the first time I fell in love with being alive.
Yeah.
Nobody told me to do it.
That's
Nobody
right.
showed me how to do it. If anything, I didn't want anybody to bother me.
Exactly.
I didn't want anybody to distract me. I mean, we are addicted to distraction. And where we come from, or when we fall in love with what we are in love with, do we really even need anything else?
Yeah. And everyone has those. And it says in the Radiance Sutras somewhere in the back that one day in the 70s, when I was teaching instinctive meditation, maybe 45 years ago, maybe, I was listening to somebody and they said, I used to do this as a kid. After we had spent about an hour together exploring their natural meditation technique. And it actually felt like one of the classic yoga meditation practices, but they found their own way into it. And this woman, she just said, she went like this and said, I used to do this as a child. That alerted me. And then over the years, I heard men of all kinds of men, soldiers, doctors, businessmen, women. I used to do this as a kid. And so I realized that
Yes.
when we actually want to learn to meditate as an adult, you want to approach it in a way so that you welcome the memory of being a child and discovering your native meditations, because those are what are natural for you.
Right.
And I'm sorry to say this after teaching meditation for 50 some years, but if you practice meditation in a way that's unnatural for you, you may not like the results. There's going to be a lot of miscellaneous random side effects that you don't want. And also you're wasting why waste? Life is precious. Why waste a minute of life doing a meditation technique that's wrong for you? It's like if you want to dance, you don't have time to wear a shoe that's going to damage your toes and make your toenails break off because it's too small. It scrunches you. It hurts. It's like you need to dance. Like don't get lost in the wrong technique or the wrong shoe. Like
right. Or right. I love that. My introduction into meditation was when I was an actress, and that was a stressful profession. And I don't know even who turned me on to meditation, but I was led to TM, to Transcendental Meditation. And I took to it like a duck to water because I found a practice that could help me sit. And once I connected to the quiet, I fell in love with it. But I have found many, many years later, then, got into mindfulness meditation, that in my life now, I am more in love with the open eye, informal meditation, if you will, that everything is a meditation. It's not like, oh, well, these 20 minutes are just for meditation and I'm going to do that. And by the way, if that's your jam, great. For me, I feel the beauty of free falling into, I want to connect to whatever I want to connect to right now and feel the bliss and go into the stillness and go into the non-thinking distraction, and there's no set time for that. It's any moment is good enough moment for that.
Now, what you said just now is a really great illustration of what we're talking about in the naturalness of meditation. If you can get like a year or two of any practice that to you feels like a duck to water. And this is, oh my God, this is so natural and this is so beautiful. And so that you practice for a year or two or more and then thrive, it becomes permanent in your body. And then there's a swing to do a different kind of meditation. For example, people might do a sitting meditation of some kind, mindfulness or TM. The hummingbirds are like dancing outside. That's why I'm looking.
You know, the birds are, it's their time to.
This is their time. It's hummingbird ecstasy out there. If you find a practice that thrills you so that you look forward to doing it, and it's a fit, and you practice that way for some period of time, it could be 3 months, 3 years, that it becomes permanent in your body. So for example, someone might sit with their eyes closed and it's perfect for some length of time, months or several years. And then their body goes like, okay, we got that. Let's move on. What's the next practice? And then it might be dancing, or it might be open eyes, gazing. And that's what I love so much about the Radiance Sutras, that like when it's time, you just move on. Let's change. Let's go into the next technique. There's 112 of them.
Love this book. Is a gem, is a pearl, is a forever lotus opening, this book. I just have to take a moment of how exquisite this book is.
Thank you. So yeah, it seems like we all need to have awareness of 3 or 4 meditation approaches, so that when it's time to move on, when our body says, okay, I've got enough vitamin M or whatever, vitamin E or whatever, let's mix it up, that we can move on. What's been going on is that, say you're doing Zen, or say a formal sitting group, when the impulse comes, okay, I've been sitting for 3 years, now I want to dance, you lose your whole group because they think you traitor. You heathen, you've fallen from the true faith. The teacher will say that impulse you have to dance is just your ego resistance.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and you're suddenly not a meditator.
You're suddenly not a meditator. So you lose your group because they shun you. You lose your teacher because there'll be he thinks you're testing his ego, and so they'll trust you. Get shamed so that you lose your practice also. So you get like 4 divorces hitting you simultaneously. There's a guy that came to me like in the 70s, and he'd been having such an incredible time doing a sitting meditation. It was a Zen flavor, and they're all sitting cross-legged, and it's a group of men. And he went through this, and he went to the teacher, and the teacher said, "You're just resisting, try harder," just like, ah. And, but the feeling wouldn't go away. So he came to me, which is, it's hard for meditators to come see like a freelance meditation teacher, because I just want
my next question. By the way, you're totally segueing into my next question, which I love, because I know that your passion has been to help people find their meditation technique.
Their meditation practice.
Yes.
That's what works. Is to find your practice. We have these like meditation, we've inherited because of the work of all these hardworking, utterly devoted monks and nuns. We have, like, a lot of these are meditation related books. I used to have like 3,000 books. I don't have room for them, but we've inherited the wealth of the world's meditation techniques. So it's like this huge market or a huge buffet. It's like,
it's a smorgasbord. It's a smorgasbord.
It is. And you don't have to eat, there isn't time in life to eat 5,000 different foods, but we have instincts that guide us to what food we want. And I think actually finding a meditation technique that works for you is somewhat easier and less complicated than finding the food that really makes your body thrive. I think it might be a little simpler. But you want to take an approach. What food makes me feel good and strong? What time of day? How much? And what combination?
Yeah, I mean, also, you know, when I got the flavor, the aroma, the fragrance of that, I could literally experience a meditation standing in line in the grocery store. That just blew open my, you know, that was a game changer. That basically everything and anything is the meditation. You could take out the garbage and, you know, have a mystical experience. Do you know? I mean,
yeah. And there are people that know that and don't call it meditation. And I think that they're actually more evolved than the gurus of the world. I love gurus. I have over in another part of the house, there's all kinds of pictures of.
I love how mobile you are there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the guru tradition. Like I have.
You from whence you came, but did not stay.
I love these guys.
They're very lovable. I mean, teachers are wonderful, do you know? But I'm still not in third grade with one of my favorite teachers who I loved, you know. Many years have passed since I sat with him.
I absolutely love those guys. And I spend hours a day in communion with the lineage. But we're missing the whole point. If when we walk along the street or go to the market, if we don't realize that there's people everywhere that are working secret, what we could call meditative practices, like there's checkers in the supermarkets, and there's like gardeners that they're like way deep into their meditation practice. They're people walking dogs.
I had a really high conversation with a UPS guy.
Yeah.
We tripped the light fantastic. He and we just completely, time disappeared.
Yes, it's so great when that happens. Yeah. So the gurus are there. It's incredible the wealth that they have brought and are bringing. And there's people living their form of enlightenment everywhere. The purpose of meditation, it's always to help you get through the day. It's to prepare your body, your nerves, your senses, so that you're alert to the magic moments of a day, and whatever your work is, that you function better. So meditation, the way that you evaluate your practice is am I better at work, whatever my work is? Am I better at resting up after work? Like I sleep more deeply and wake up more refreshed. And play and laughter and love. That's how you evaluate your meditation. You can't evaluate your meditation is, would a guru approve of me? We're not in a guru tradition in the Western world. If you live in India, it's different. The guru is a guy who lived down the street, and your family has known his family for the last 8,000 years.
Right.
It's expensive. But here in the Western world, you ask yourself, what do I need? Like, say I have 20 minutes, it's 6 in.the morning. I have 20 minutes. What do I need? And because meditation is built into the body, it turns out that in 3 minutes, and this was researched at Harvard for decades, in about 3 minutes, if you do a meditation that's effortless and natural, you slip into a state of rest deeper than sleep.
Right.
You get this sublime recharging. So while you're there, your body's tuning up, resting up, doing that kind of healing that sleep does, but deeper. Your awareness is getting to really flex its wings. And then, boom, 20 minutes later, it's like, whoa, that's refreshing. Like, that's a vacation.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, and I respect anybody's way to find themselves drinking from the well. Some people need a very long road to drink from that well. Some people want it really difficult. Some people want it to be licensed and certified.
They
Some,
do. But it's important to separate your kink from your meditation practice, because I don't know anything about it. It's not my thing, but I know there's people that like to be tied up and spanked.
Lorin.
There's people that like to be shamed. They get off. It's a game. It's cost. It's a kind of play.
This is very funny. I'm sorry. I don't. What is the torture factor? What is the torture?
I don't understand it, because
what is the torture that is needed to experience bliss? Could you explain?
Well, I in case people don't know, the ocean in Southern California is almost always cold, except for like a month in the middle of summer, like in August, sometimes only August 15th to September 15th, it warms up to about 70. Some years it never warms up. So if you're not prepared, it hurts so bad to jump in the ocean. I mean, if you haven't been training, every cell of your body's screaming, you're gonna die. And then you adapt, and then it's exhilarating afterwards. So it could be a lack of contact with nature. Because if you've ever gone hiking for a month, what happens is that there'll be days when you have an 8-hour hike to the next camp and there's no going back. And it starts snowing on you and then hailing, and there's just nothing to do. You're exhausted, freezing, hungry, blisters on your feet. You may be sunburned from the afternoon, and now it's hailing on you, and you can't stop. You have to keep walking for another 4 hours, and you can't hurry because you're walking over rocks. You can't hurry or push. Every footstep has to be conscious because you're walking over uneven rocks. And if you twist your ankle,
It's over.
You ruin everyone's life, because they either leave you behind to die or they have to then carry you. And our bodies are built for that. All of our bodies are built to survive incredible things. And it could
the mind is just, does not shut up and is telling you can't do it, you're going to die.
Yeah. And you do it. And every single human being on earth, we're descended from people who very recently, maybe 2 days ago or a year ago or 100 years ago, did impossible things. Like, we're all descended, all of us, from some woman who, like wolves, ate the rest of her tribe, but she managed to escape out the back with a baby, and she walked barefoot across like 50 miles of snow and then founded her own little tribe. We're all descended from people who did impossible things. And our bodies are built to be able to handle intense contact with nature, the floods and like hurricanes and snow, and start having no food for a month, because in the natural world, sometimes there's just nothing to eat for a month, and having to invent and find their way around. It could be that we just crave to use these abilities. But in meditation, you don't want your need to suffer to take over your practice. Because if you just love, if you go for it, have any dream, love anybody, you're going to suffer. And it's worth it. Like, to have a dog, I'm amazed that people have dogs, because the dog is going to die in 7 years. You're going to watch this whole thing.
I have two, and 2 cats. The empathy factor is quite high.
The courage to love. All you have to do is love anybody or any creature, or do any artistic project, and you'll suffer plenty. You do not need your meditation to be artificial suffering, because it'll distract you from the real suffering, which is what happens when you go for it, when you live a dream, you pursue a desire, when you love somebody. Because when you really love somebody, like with the way parents love their kids, their happiness is more important to you than your own. They walk out the door when they're 5 or 10, and it's like, and they're an independent little person running around. That's total terror.
Oh
So,
yeah, the profound feelings of love. It's like it's something that exquisite, but it like breaks your heart a little bit.
breaks your heart constantly.
Yeah, it's constantly creating these little mini breaks. Do you know? And that
Yeah.
you have to like breathe into those mini breaks.
Breathe into it. That's why the brilliant Jack Kornfield, he said long ago, I think it was like 1977 or something. He said really heartfulness would be a better term than mindfulness.
Yes. I mean, we seem to reinvent these words, or we pull them, we pluck them out of the past, from the origins. And I think mindfulness, well, isn't that thoughtfulness, and isn't that kindness, and isn't that everything rolled into one, that we have this capacity to do naturally, as you say?
Mindfulness is a cover word, and it's fine. It's lame. Jack then said mindfulness is an insipid term. He's so unbelievably honest and funny.
It's interesting because I guess we need those. I guess we need these sort of new words, new labels, new terms, so we can go, oh yeah, whatever that is.
And in mindfulness, there's really a million techniques. There's at a minimum, we probably differentiate 1,000 different major techniques in what's mindfulness. So it's a handy term. Saying mindfulness is like saying music. And think about how many thousands of genres of music there are. Yet we know what music is.
It's a good invitation. It becomes a reference point to invite people in to say, oh, I'm here. Oh, I'm here.
Exactly. And the thing to keep in mind is that meditation and mindfulness is not one mood. It's not sitting still with your eyes closed, although that's an incredible practice sometimes for some people. It's a variety. The word mindfulness or meditation refers to this huge variety of techniques, and it's what works for you to commune with your own soul essence, to be fed by your own inner wellspring, to link up like all of the energies of your life, so that your sexuality, like your survival instincts, your combat instincts, like by power, your love instincts, your intuition, your thought, it's all linked up, and it's like we're good to go, so that inside yourself, you're a team, like all of the instincts. And then like, let's go have a great life. That's what meditation is for.
Let's go have a great moment.
Let's go have a great moment. And if you approach meditation in that way, it is so much fun and so lush. It's so rewarding.
It's delicious. Is it not delicious? It's delicious. Lorin, I can see that there is no time with you, but I want to cover some things with you while we're in no time.
The clock says, "Hey, you guys."
Yeah, but I want to ask you. I want to talk about your exquisite book, The Radiance Sutras, and it's described as these gateways are flung open wide for all to enter. Okay, so can you be our gracious host and invite us into this wonder and delight, which you already really have begun to do so, in whichever way you would like to do it in this present moment, and I know that may seem like I'm asking you to give us a tour of the vastness of the ocean.
Yeah. No, let's
but perhaps you can help us, as Rumi said, to understand we're not a drop in the ocean, we are the ocean.
Right. So the text, the text begins with a woman wondering and trying to get her man to talk. It's the goddess who is the energy of creation. And she's the impulse of creation towards creating bodies, planets, galaxies. And her boyfriend is consciousness, abstract, but he's also the consciousness that embraces her. So they're inseparable partners, the goddess and God. And she's going, hey, big boy, like, let's talk. Like, tell me, let's review, for the sake of the incarnate human beings, the people, what are the pathways to touch the heart of this miraculous universe we're in?
Mm.
And he says, beloved, the questions you're asking can only be answered by direct living experience. The way begins with the breath, such as the breath you are breathing right now. The way of experience begins with the breath, such as the breath you are breathing right now. Awakening into this luminous reality may dawn in the momentary throb between any two breaths. Exhaling, breath is released and flows out. There is a pulse as it turns to flow in. In that turn, you are empty. Enter that emptiness of the source of all life. Inhaling, breath flows in, filling, nourishing, just as it turns to flow out. There is a flash of pure joy. Life is renewed. The life essence carries on its play through the pulsing rhythm of outward and inward movement. This is the ceaseless throb, the rhythm of life. So then he goes on to describe a couple more breathing practices. And then he starts to introduce like energy, electricity practices. Follow the path of the life force as she flashes like lightning through your body. Attend simultaneously to the perineum, that bright place between the legs, to the crown of the skull, and to that shining star above the head. Notice this living current becoming ever more subtle as she rises, radiant as the morning sun, until she streams outward from the top of the head into all embracing gratitude. Thus, become intimate with the life of all beings. So
Wow.
then,
Wait. That's just,
okay.
that is so beautiful, Lorin. I mean, that is so beautiful. Your book, Your book it can bring one to tears of great joy. Do you know? It's really so beautiful because it's all that there really is. You know, you're speaking of the dance of love, do you know? And it's just so exquisite. It's the word that keeps coming up for me of this book. It's just so divine, really, truly.
You're right. That's a good phrase. It is a dance of love.
It really is, you know, and I want to say that for those that are maybe new to this book or going to get it, and it's such a gift. It really is truly a gift to have by your bedside to sleep with. Take your phones away and sleep with this book, you know. And for the millennials, the young people out there that are listening to this, take this book to bed with you. Don't take your phones to bed with you. Take this to bed with you. This can be a love affair that will stay with you forever, you know. And I love that you say that it is a text to savor one phrase at a time over a period of days or years. And you also say that anytime you read a phrase tenderly and let yourself be carried away, even for a minute, you are performing a sacred act,
Yeah.
offering your attention to the mystery of being alive. I love that. Do you know? And that you really can. I mean, what I
And
love about this book is you can literally flip it gently open and stop at any page of any poem or any practice.
yeah,
Do you know?
yeah. And the Sanskrit is like that as well. So I like what you said. We learn 1 minute at a time. In um, I spent many years involved in the physiological research on meditation, wiring people up and measuring body changes and interviewing them about their experience. And so everything we know points to the fact that meditation is actually the way you're learning and practicing about 15 seconds at a time. You actually begin to interact with your own inner energies in a couple of seconds. And it's very much like a sport or dancing. There's a lot happen when you're dancing, a lot happens in 15 seconds. So think of meditation as a kind of internal dance where you as awareness are joining with you as an energy and the rhythm of life. So you're dancing with the rhythms of life and you learn from the rhythm. The rhythm teaches you how to dance with it. So even if you practice anything for 15 seconds, that's a significant little chunk of experience and of recharging. And even if a person is meditating for half an hour, say they're sitting somewhere like that, they're engaging with the rhythms of life 15 seconds at a time. So that's where the action is. It's in the immediacy of experience where we're always learning how to honor every impulse. And if there's an energy that you don't like, you just combine it with another energy or dissolve it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of involved in an internal artwork that's like cooking. Like pepper, we don't just eat black pepper, like dry, like grind pepper and eat it. It's like we can't. But a little bit of pepper can be perfect, magical. So in life, what our energy is doing, it's combining and sort of taking things that are like pepper and energies of the body and mixing them appropriately so that to support life.
And to know that it's fluid, that it's always fluid, it's always moving.
Always
You know?
fluid, always moving. Yeah, the whole idea of stillness is a mistake. There's not stillness in life or meditation. It's a mistake to think of meditation as cultivating stillness. Because it sets you against the rhythm of life, which is where the action is.
Right.
If you enter the dance, you get something that's better than stillness. You get a feeling of peace and serenity that's like a fluid like stillness and motion, but we actually, words break. We don't have the language to describe.
Right. I do like to think of myself in the cosmic dance. Just the understanding of that for me gives me a sense that I'm in the flow of life. Do you know?
These moves that you're making is called mudra in Sanskrit. I don't know if you're doing this. So all of you watching, find a movement that for you is as natural as what Ora is doing, where Ora is sitting. I'm meta commenting here.
And I really want to do this. You're inspiring me to do this, making me want to move.
Being into, no, this is a whole meditation. You could, for a year, you could bless yourself incredibly, get all the benefits of meditation by doing a movement like this that's natural to you, your own version of it, for say 10 or 15 minutes, and then see where it leads you. See where, and what I found is that people invent their own Tai Chi or Qigong practices, but it's better than Qigong because it's coming from inside your own body. You're actually going to the source. What Ora was doing there spontaneously is going to the source of where Tai Chi and Qigong comes from. In Sanskrit, it's mudra. And she was in the dance that's simultaneously a deep inner meditation and an outer celebration. And in the genius of the Chinese, the Chinese and Taoists, they developed this exquisitely and understand it as a meditation and as a health practice. And it's a universal practice because we talk with our hands. So you could have somebody interview you, have a friend interview you and say, what are the greatest experiences you've ever had? Whatever it is, dancing, hiking, making love outside, wandering in nature, surfing, and have them notice what your spontaneous gestures are. And then have them, and then make up your own Tai Chi out of your these dance moves.
You know, this is so inspiring because I'm thinking of, you know, the energies that are being expressed. I'm doing it again, expressed during this time right now, which is a type of energy, you know, that's using the body, you know, and I don't want to get in, you know, kind of get out of this beautiful flavor that I'm experiencing with talking to you, but that if everybody really, you know, got into the flow of the dancing and the movement in their body in this way, do you know, the level of peace and love that we would be feeling. And I know I'm having your lovely wife Camille with me next week, who is a dancer and a gorgeous dancer, you know, that it's just that we really free fall into the flow of life. We're aligned with the true nature of existence, do you know? And it's really interesting. And you know, when something is so exquisite, you want everybody to experience it. It's like when you taste a food, you're like, you have to try this. This is so amazing.
Yeah. You know? Or the piece of music or the movie. Oh my God, you have to.
I know. And so what you were just describing and what I'm feeling when I feel my body move, it's so counter to the energy that's trying to pull all of us into this sort of chaotic field of dissent and disconnect and all the things that are so counter to the true nature of who we are. Do you know? And I think we need to be mindful of that during this time that we're witnessing.
Yes. And it's important to have effective action in the outer world. Meditation is part of warfare. It's part of martial arts training. And being able to be relaxed in the middle of combat. Because if we're going to riot or protest and try to make the society better, we want to be effective. We want actually to have positive results with all that explosive energy.
Right.
The riots that happened in my time in 1969, there was this incredible energy and the students were so correct about everything. But the way they went about protesting backfired and made things worse in odd ways. Like Lyndon Johnson didn't run for re-election, but then we got Nixon, who made things much worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it would have been possible for the student energy, the protests that were like they are today, setting fires all over the country. If that energy could have been harnessed, maybe we could have gotten a different president. So what happened was that the protests of 1969 and 70 backfired. The police became meaner.
Right.
Laws were passed, more rigorous laws were passed against all drugs, having like one joint, I guess, was a felony. So hundreds of thousands of people, young people, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, went to prison for years because they had a baggie of marijuana. And this went on for decades.
Right.
So when you're protesting, it's important to strategize and be effective.
Absolutely. And I think that the whole notion of the peaceful protest, if you will, if you want to enter into the conversation of protesting against something, and your intention is for it to be a peaceful protest, and where that can erupt to, as you said, can backfire. So I do encourage, we have just 3 minutes, Lorin. I think that's a really important point, because that is going on in the outside world right now. There's a lot of chaotic energy that's going on right now. And it's energy, as we were talking about, it's energy. So on that note, maybe for the last 2 minutes, you can give us just another one of your pearls as to where to go with the energy moving forward.
Yeah. Well, in the Tantra yoga tradition, you accept rage and lust, fear as energies of life, and you appreciate them. And then you transmute them into something that fits your life in the next couple of minutes. So let's see. This is what I found. Secrets are hidden in darkness and difficult nights. You awaken into a pang of aloneness, a howl of separation. This is the call of the dark one, the roar of life seeking its source. The union you long for is within reach. Throw off all hesitation. Become one with the fear. Plunge into the uncanny blackness, eyes wide open, as if there were no other choice. Vibrating with fierce tenderness. Breathe intimately with the Lord of infinite space.
Lorin, on that note, on that beautiful pearl gem, a string of pearls that you strung together so beautifully for us today, I thank you for
Laura,
such a beautiful voice today.
remember, we're all on this adventure together. And whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever your situation, there is a meditation practice for you that fits your nature. Explore and you'll find it.
Thank you so much, Lorin.
Thank you, Ora.